But this specific... There was a stage where we had multiple dens active. In this one, interestingly, with trees you get males and females, and the males will not bear fruits and the females will. I'm not sure whether this is a male or a female, but I haven't been able to see any fruits just yet. And as we look up into the trees, I have got some good news. Brent has been searching in some trees of his own and found you a little home that he would like to show you. Enjoy. So, as Scotty said, we've got some success in a buffalo thorn, and it's a long-tailed shrike on the nest. You can see how that tail is bending profusely to fit. And I'm guessing still must have eggs if they're on the nest like that. And I can hear that tweet. So that's the bird on the nest making that noise. But while we're doing that, I've spotted something else, but I'm not going to get tips to go to it just yet. That's quite difficult. I'm going to get a safety of it first. With my camera. Oh no, of course it flew away. Oh no, it's still there. So, chatting about birds, Charlotte, who's in Port Elizabeth, is wondering, do we get wagtails in the Sabi Sands? We do, Charlotte. The most common wagtail we get is the pied wagtail. I'm going to try and get Tebs to show you. This is going to be very difficult. And Tebs hasn't been here for the butterfly challenge, so it's for the cameraman as well as you guys out there to try and get... For the cameraman to get a butterfly on camera is really difficult. Okay. And it might be one it's definitely one we haven't identified yet. Okay, Tebs, you ready? Okay. So, we go up to the right of that bush. Let's go this way, a little bit more. I think it's in. Okay. Have you spotted it? Just opening its wings slowly. Okay. You got him? Come down. Down, down, down. A little bit tips. Come out of it. Okay. So. Okay, let's come out. Let's come out. I'm gonna see it. You got it. You found it now. So this one we haven't identified before. So have you guys been keeping your butterfly lists? Well, I haven't been on drive. This is definitely a new one, and it's one of the ones I say is almost impossible to identify without a butterfly net. There he is there. You'll see now as he opens his wings a little bit. I'm just trying to find him on the screen now. I can see him with my eye. Yep. Look how pretty he is. So that's one of the little blues. But the blues are sometimes quite brown. Just to confuse you. You can see it's got quite nice little dappled spots. I'm just going to try and get a tight shot with my camera, and we can have a look at that as well. Or we try ID it. And it's got orange on the inside when it opens its wings. Of course, now it's keeping its wings very closed. Let's get another safety of the side. Yeah, I even lose it. There we go. And it's got little eyes right on the bottom edge. And those eyes, I think, continue on the inside. I'm going to move around. Tibbs now has the butterfly in his sight, so I'm going to try to get directly behind it or directly in front of it to try to see the inside of it. Get it from there, Tibbs? We're too close. I think you should be able to. There we go, there's the little guy. Oh, he's just behind the leaf. I'm just gonna move forward a tiny bit, try it. There we go. Yes. We're busy habituating butterflies to Land Rovers. That's how into nature we are here at SafariLIVE. Okay, now you just... Oh, I nearly got him there. So as soon as I get a safety shot of the inside, we can try and make a proper ID. So it's always best to have the inside and the outside. And these butterflies, it's particularly hard to identify them. Just want to get out there and move that one little leaf, but it will definitely fly then. So it's very seldom that you get these little blues or these little blues and brown butterflies to keep still. So in flashing, they don't look very pretty, but as you can see how incredible some of the markings on the underside are. And it's busy for those flower lovers out there. It's busy feeding on a string of stars, or a lamb's tail is the name of the flower it's feeding on. You want to open your wings? So we were looking at a long-tailed shrike. Oh, there we go. Oh, just half open. A long-tailed shrike on a nest, and Steph's saying, sure, brave bird to choose a buffalo thorn. Well, it's a very good tree if you want to nest in, because those thorns will keep lots of other things out. So it's a good protection against predators. I think this is the most still I've ever seen a blue sit. Well, it's turned facing back to us. Come on now, open your wings. You can see... I don't know if you guys can see that little orange eye right on the tail. Let's see, just need to see on the inside. Sorry guys, be patient with me and my butterflies. We really want to, and these are the ones we're going to struggle to ID. So when we got an opportunity like this, we can't turn it down. Okay, I think I got that very distinct. Not a great shot of it, but we can definitely see it. It actually looks like 3 eyes now on the inside. Very little blue, almost orange on the inside of the top side of the wings as well. So I'm just going to try one thing quickly before we move on. I'm going to jump out of the car. Oh, there we go. Have you still got it? It's just there to the right. I'm going to just try and get one more. Even too close for my camera. I'm just going to sneak past you there quickly, just so we can try ID it. Oh. So as you see, when it flutters, it doesn't look very impressive at all. But if you stop Hey, there we go. Success, I think. Look at that. I'm going to show you now. We finally got success. Sorry it took so long, but as with, you've got to have patience with lions and with butterflies. So that's what I was trying to get. So even though it looks really dull, look at that incredible color on the inside. Sorry, my earpiece back in now. But look at that. So from that, we're going to have a much better chance at IDing this butterfly. And it's very, very rare to get a nice view of those. But I'm not going to make you guys suffer me going through the book just yet. I'll do that just now. But we do have the butterfly book. But how's that? Success! So if I remember correctly, in the whole butterfly, we're up to 9, I think. And on the subject of butterflies, Pamela's wondering, do we have any monarch butterflies in the Sabi Sands? And we do, Pamela. We have the African monarch. I will definitely try to show you one. And I'm just trying to remember, so far since we started this butterfly challenge, sorry, something is rattling. I really don't like rattles. Here we go. I'm just trying to remember how many species we've got so far. We've got the yellow pansy. Still rattling. No idea what it is. Here we go. Yellow pansy. We have had the Christmas tree acria. We've had a wandering donkey acria. We've had the joker. 5, we had a broad-banded grass yellow. We've had an African migrant. And, we had another one of the yellows. The still sulfur-tipped one. I'm trying to remember its name now, but it's also one of the migrants or vagrants. I remember its name now. I should actually start keeping a written list of all these things. So if any of you can remember all the butterfly species we've seen so far, please send them in to me. And you can do that by using the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter, or pop me an email on questions@wildearth.tv. For those of you who are new, you can ask me questions, and we are live in the African bush. Sometimes we're chasing lions and leopards, and sometimes we're chasing butterflies and moths. Another one I don't think we've seen yet. But butterflies are difficult. Come on, land. And there we go. Okay. This one is one of the, if I remember, or if I recognize it correctly from when I saw it, will be one of the more common species. Oh, tip off again. Should land in shortly. Here we go. It's actually landed on one of my favorite little flowers. There's nothing really interesting about them from the fact they're quite pretty. It's called a Hyena or pink bell. Okay, now let's to the right slightly. There we go, center, in there. And up slightly. We should start, there we go. Seeing the pink bells. Oh, we had full zoom, Tiff. Oh yeah, there we go. See that, there we go. Oh no, that's a moth, and a very cool moth. I know that moth. And what are you doing flying around in the daytime? Cheeky little thing. There we go, where's my, too many books, too many choices. A very, very cool little moth. So, on a nice cool day like this, no reason why a moth shouldn't be flitting about. The moth is called a crimson speckled footman. It's a bit far for you to see, but you can have a look nice and close what they look like in the book. There we go. Very cool moth. You can see by the way it was sitting, the way the wings sat on it immediately, it's a moth. And there it is. It's a very unmistakable moth. You can't really get it confused with anything else. The crimson speckled footman. Very common throughout Africa, and the larval stage feed on grass mostly and plantains up in Central and West Africa. So quite a common moth species, but a really pretty one. So I'm going to go spend some time going through my butterfly book. While I do that, let's go see what Scotty's up to.
Well, butterfly hunting, I'm sure a lot of you didn't expect to be doing that on safari this afternoon, so I'm very happy that Brent has surprised you all with his antics. Liam and I are patrolling the northern boundary in the hope that the pack of wild dogs, which are sleeping not far away from us, are going to wake up and have a huge urge to head south towards our property where we can see them. They're incredibly exciting animals to follow, and we haven't seen them for quite some time, so I want to try and make sure we are doing everything possible to be in the area that they are most likely to pop around. And the great thing is that we don't know what to expect in terms of other animals that we could find in this very same area, and that is again the beauty of being on safari. You don't know whether you're going to be chasing butterflies with Brent or what we are going to bump into at any given stage of the safari. So maybe if we don't find the wild dogs, we'll find something else interesting. The animals do seem to be hiding out, so I'm not too sure where. Interested to know a little bit more about what we think about the intricacies of that hyena fight this morning. And Debbie's mentioned that how strongly will mothers defend their cubs against other mothers who may be bullying their cubs. And I think very, very strongly they will fight other females that give their daughters, possible heirs to the throne, any glimpse of a hard time. So the thing with this specific incident, though, Debbie, is that I feel that the den site that we were at initially was a natal den site. So it's used just for giving birth, and it's usually used by a subordinate female who's not comfortable to give birth in the main communal den, which is obviously a little bit more risky, especially if you don't have the lineage of a queen. So I think that the chaos and commotion that was heard from the den sites and from the mother of that little cub that wasn't wanting to come out of the den was probably a result of the fact that that little cub heard the whole fight ensuing. It wasn't far from the den, and that cub certainly would have been able to hear an almighty hyena battle. So it's not to say, though, that the mother that was attacked didn't give the mother that attacked its cub a hard time. I just think the den sites that we were at do not correlate with the attack from the specific mothers. The mothers of the two cubs, the two sets of cubs at the one den site were the two mothers that are older than the mother at the den site that we just left a little bit earlier on. And they were responsible for attacking, at least one of them was responsible for attacking the injured hyena that we got to see. So that's my take on it. I'm sorry if I'm not making sense, Debbie, but it is, as you can understand, a hugely complicated affair. And everything that I'm saying is speculation as to what we think went on. But it's very difficult to be certain of the IDs of the hyena, or at least it is for me. You'd have to spend many, many hours researching and comparing photographs of all the different hyena in this area to be certain you know which one's which. Now the outcome of that injured hyena is uncertain. It's obviously got a lot of obstacles ahead of it, including just its own injuries that it needs to recover from, barring interactions with any other hyenas and any other predators. And, oh, that was a pleasant surprise. I hope we still have signal. So, Petra, many obstacles and hardships. I don't necessarily think a leopard would be a likely candidate to attack that hyena. But if it were to happen, in its injured state, I think a big male leopard would probably be able to outcompete that female. So it is possible, but I don't think it's a risk a leopard would take. Lion, I think if they caught one glimpse of that hyena, it would be the end. So a battle against lion would end up, I think, in death, but leopard and other hyena, I think it could still put up a fight. Just trying to listen carefully. I think I can hear some alarm calls. But with my recent ear infection, my hearing is not very good. What I was hoping to hear were a continuation of barks, dog-like barks, which could have been expelled from either a kudu or an Inala. Pah, pah. And it sounded like it was to the south of us, which is where the wild dog are. Almost directly south of where we, north of where we are pointing. We are pointing directly south, and the dogs are probably about half a mile to the north of us, so not far at all. But after a bit more listening, I realized that I could well have been imagining things and don't have any confirmation that there were any alarm calls, so not to worry. Let's go and take a closer look at these zebras. It looks like two stallions from here. Although I'm already swallowing my words. Looks like it's a female closest to us and a stallion on the other side, so forgive me. Hello to Vicky, and thank you for sending through your success story of a female leopard that you saw in an area called Thorny Bush, not too far from here, which had 3 legs. And even with those 3 legs, she managed to hunt and climb trees successfully for 2 years. Incredible stuff. Thank you for that success story, and we all needed a bit of hope and a happy story after the chaos that ensued this morning. It really was tough. Beautiful bird song all around us. Black-headed orioles, woodlands, kingfishers. Jeffrey in Texas, thank you for sending through some advice and a possible theory to remedy the lack of tenants in my nesting box, my bird nest box. And I think relocating it could certainly be the answer. I'm just not convinced that the tree that it's in is not suitable. So I'm torn to move it at this stage. but I think I'm going to have to, because it's been up there for quite some time, Jeffrey, with no takers. So certainly the proximity to a fairly busy road, that's the road we often drive between the two camps where our staff is split up between here at Djuma. So it is fairly busy, but I mean, I just don't understand why they wouldn't take to it. Some people have said that the smell from the chainsaw that helped to build it, as well as the wood glue that helped to stick it together, may have been a possible reason why birds aren't wanting to move in right away, to the wrong odors. I'm not convinced by that. I'm also not convinced by the positioning of the tree. I've seen birds nesting in very, very low cavities, 30 centimeters off the ground in trees. So it's such a scarce home for them, and they fight so much over it that I thought another box or another cavity shouldn't take any or too long. Anyway, we'll get to the bottom of it, and thank you for your concerns, Jeffrey. Well, zebra typically enjoy very short grass, which you can see them feeding on now. There's not too much of that in our area of operation, and that's why we don't see too many zebra or wildebeest. It's simply the wrong habitat. And I think the rain that we got about a week ago, we got about 20 mils a week or so ago. I lose track of time out here. But it was a very decent downpour, and I think that's really beginning to have a positive effect on the food load for the animals. Let's hope we get some more rain soon, because at this stage it's been rough going for the herbivores of the northern Sabi Sands. Another success story. Very good afternoon, and thank you to Penny Pine, and good to hear you're still watching. I hope your son is doing well wherever he is at the moment. And Penny says that there's a pack of wild dogs running around in the neighborhood, in the near vicinity, and one of them was caught in a snare, which is a trap used by poachers to catch animals indiscriminately. And basically it's just a noose that once you put a limb through or your head through, the noose will tighten as you continue walking. And the poachers put these wire sliding nooses on animal pathways that the animals use, and therefore, even though you may be aiming to catch an impala to feed your family with, which is understandable, you are in no way in control of what does walk down that path. It could be an elephant that sticks its trunk through that hole and then loses half of its trunk, or it could be a wild dog that goes running through and gets its leg caught, which is what was the case in this certain event. And the poor wild dog has lost its leg, but again, like I say, success in that it is running around on 3 legs. So testament to wild animals. I guess we don't have to look too far, not even from our own species. There are many, many people on this planet who are disabled in many ways, yet it doesn't hold them back. Artists drawing with their feet or using their mouth to paint. I mean, it's never ending how incredibly skilled and talented some people who have been similarly unfortunate are. So well done to all of you human success stories. And we're going to send you across to Brent now for an update on what he's up to.
So we're still checking all over and about, and as you can see, we've got a male Inala. There's probably a few more around that we can't see in the thicker bush behind him, taking advantage of all the fresh shoots. Now, funny thing about an Inala is, now that is an Inala bull, but a female Inala is called an Inala ewe, and it is the, strange enough, it's the species that changes. So anything smaller than an Inala is a ram and a ewe, and anything bigger is a bull and a cow, except for an Inala, which is a bull and a ewe. So when it comes to sexing and what words to use, Inala is the mid-ground where it changes. Yeah, he's going to move off into the bush, and so are we. Well, not into the bush, down the road at least, a little bit more civilized. Big welcome to Pat from Florida. Cat, sorry, not Pat, from Florida. He's a new viewer. So welcome to the SafariLIVE family, Pat. Cat. Now I've got Pat stuck in my head. You must pat your cat. It's a very difficult thing being out in nature sometimes, because we see stuff that's really, really can be construed as quite, or is traumatizing for the animals. Specifically referring to that incredible hyena sighting that Scott had this morning. And Kat would like to know whether we ever intervene. So go get that hyena fixed up by a vet. We don't. Not with things like that. That's natural. That's normal hyena behavior. Hyenas will have fights like that, and it's not uncommon to see three-legged hyenas or hyenas with half an ear, one ear. I've seen various forms of decrepit hyenas over my years in the bush. And the only time we would intervene is if there was a potential threat to the greater population, or it is a human-caused ailment. So, for example, an animal that's got a snare, then we would, depending, either dart it or humanely remove it. Or the other thing is with endangered species, and often they're endangered species because of humans that have done stuff. So with wild dogs and cheetah, you'll find that there will be a reaction. Hyenas are not endangered. They're under least concern would be their threat status. But it's a very, very difficult thing, and I will chat about it a little bit later. But Scotty's got two of the most pretty little birds for you in the meantime.
Well, it's not often that they hang around for us, these tiny but really pretty little birds. They're little bee eaters. And there's a few more fluttering about here. They like to kind of set themselves up in any given spot and fly around catching bugs, often heading back to the same perch that they launched their attack from. As VM zooms out, you get a good idea of how small they are. We're not far away. We're probably about 12 meters away at the most at the moment, and VM's at full zoom now. The tiny little bird. You may notice a turquoise. Oh, nice. All three of them are now down together. And you may notice a very light turquoise kind of eyebrow mascara, you could say. That's one thing I love about them, but you have to be very close to them or have a serious pair of binoculars or zoom on your camera to get up close to them. But another very pretty family of birds, the bee eaters, one of the most prettiest, and we're still awaiting one migrant, the carmine bee eater. Hopefully it won't be long before they arrive. And that's a much larger pink bee eater. Oh, well, this is exciting. And thank you very much, Brian, for getting a hold of us. We are told that your wife, Juanita, does not believe that this is a live safari, and we can now confirm to you that it is indeed live. The birds that you are seeing are real. The bird that you will see if you continue to follow these live safaris that is not real over here is the southern carmine bee-eater, which I just spoke of. And it would have been impossible for me to speak about this bee-eater, then answer your question, or at least prove your husband correct. It's hard to believe, though, when it really is hard to believe that this is happening live, and we often forget to credit our technical team that put together all this very sophisticated equipment and technology together on the back of these vehicles, and then allow myself and the cameraman to head off and take you guys on an adventure every step of the way. So good to have you on board with us and part of the family now. Brian, thank you for believing in us and also for taking some time to prove that it is live to your wife. It does make a massive difference, obviously, to the experience that everyone gets that is live, not just us, but also you, and the fact that it's interactive and we get to share memories and experiences that happen in real time together. Nothing is edited, nothing is scripted. We don't know what's going to happen when we head out, and that's what makes it so enjoyable, I find, and so much more real and raw than most of the other kind of entertainment that is available to us in this day and age. Just heard a few squirrel alarm calls down to our right here. Oh, and I can see a few predatory birds flying away. What are those? Oh no, those are cuckoos. They look like predatory birds. I'm not sure which cuckoos they are. VM is doing a very good job staying on them. So they look like kind of raptors to a degree. They've got long tails. Look at the beautiful sky out there. Don't worry, I don't think it's going to bring us any moisture, thankfully. I'm not sure what cuckoos those could have been. Let's get out the book quickly and have a quick look and see if we can't come up with a group decision as to what that may have been. Now, they were flying very, very quickly, and these are the most likely cuckoos that they could have been. I think it could have possibly been a thick-billed cuckoo, which I actually haven't seen, just judging by its flight pattern and also the fact that it had a very white breast. And what we can do is try and take a closer look. We can drive there to where they landed and go and have a closer look. But I really didn't get a good enough glimpse to make a calculated decision. The problem with cuckoos, and I don't know if it's because they live a shady life, leaving their eggs in other birds' nests to raise for them, and maybe that's the reason why they avoid being on camera, but they typically don't like to stick around for us. Now they landed in this tree over here, have you? Cool. It's a large knobthorn acacia. I can't see if they're here anymore. Oh, I can. Oh no. Yes, I can. Let's just stop here. We might be able to bank a visual. Top right, VM, kind of right-hand bush, yeah. Maybe it's a great spotted. It looks like it could be a great spotted cuckoo. And I'm not sure if you guys can see very clearly. It looks like you may be able to get a close enough view. And what I'll show you now is the reason why it is the great spotted cuckoo. You can see a bit of a yellowy tinge on the throat, as well as a very barred wing. And I'm just going to show it to you in the book here. You see how the wing is very barred, as well as that slightly kind of pale creamy color on the throat. Now, if VM zooms out a little bit, you'll see none of the other cuckoos have got that very distinctive barring on the wings. And if we zoom in up to that cuckoo one more time, you'll be able to probably work it out and agree that it looks just about right. great spotted cuckoo. And this is interesting. It mainly parasitizes starlings, and there was actually a Birchall starling sitting in that tree just a few moments ago. So who knows, maybe there's a starling's nest in this tree, in a cavity within this tree. But this great spotted cuckoo is hoping and popping an egg in there, just sneaking one in, and then flying away, leaving its kid to be raised by strangers. Terrible, the cuckoos, but clever. It means they have a permanent holiday and never have the responsibility of raising young.
A squirrel there.
VM cannot control himself, and he doesn't say much when he's behind the camera, but there's been a squirrel that's been alarm calling for quite some time, and VM is tired of looking at birds now when we could be looking for a leopard that the squirrel is shouting at. So basically, that is what has just happened. We've been summoned by the cameraman to go forth in search of whatever that squirrel is alarm calling at, so that is what we shall do. Hold on. Do you think we should drop down into the drainage here, or go around? Or should I have another listen and see what... Let's have another listen. Let's go a little bit closer in here, and we'll take a listen and then try and work out. It's a tricky area. We've got a massive riverbed flowing between us and where I think that squirrel was alarm calling. Now, the squirrel could be on the other end of on the other side of this riverbed, looking across to us, where the leopard may be walking. I mean, there's many variables, but let's just try and work out where the squirrel is at a starting point. If we find the squirrel, it will be looking at whatever is alarming it, and then we'll then be able to make some decisions as where to go and check next. At this time of the year, it is important. Okay, it's further downstream, we need to keep moving. At this time of the year, we need to remember that it is incredibly likely that a squirrel may be alarm calling at a snake or a bird of prey. Snakes are a lot more active in the summer months, and there's a lot more birds of prey that have migrated here in the summer months. All in all, leading to a lot more predators being around in the winter that could be shouted at by a squirrel. Just running a little bit, and then we'll stop and listen again. And I must warn you, we may lose signal down here. Brent is also in a no signal area, so we're taking a gamble. If the stream does stop temporarily, don't go anywhere. It'll be worth hanging around. Thankfully, we're getting close to the squirrel. Thankfully, after having spent some time here over the last year, there's a few little sneaky shortcuts that we've learnt about. VM, you did hear that? It was right here. What have you seen, squirrel? Maybe there's a chance that a leopard took a drink from this little mud wallow ahead of us here. Maybe there's a snake. No, as VM's we've got it. VM's found it. He's up in the tree here, VM. Right where my finger is. We've found the problem. It's not a leopard, but it's still awesome.
Oh, I see you.
To my finger. Exactly where my finger was pointing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's an eagle. That's feeding on something. And I'm not too sure what it is. At least what the eagle's feeding on, but what I can tell you is that it is a Walberg's eagle. Probably one of the pair that live and nest very close to where we live and where we are now. Awesome stuff. I can't tell what it is that it's eating. They typically don't catch the biggest prey, Walberg's eagle, small animals, but let's see if we can reposition. Doesn't look like we've got a very good angle from here. Although as it continues to pull and pluck, we may get a few glimpses. Please watch closely. A lot of you will be getting better views than me. I'm trying to look through my binoculars as opposed to look on the small monitor that I get a feed of what VM's filming on, because it's so small it's hard to see what's what. And in this flat afternoon light, there's only so much VM can do with the camera. So all in all, this is not an easy scenario. But how lucky was our timing? That squirrel stopped alarm calling just at the right moment, and who knows, maybe this Walberg's eagle caught another squirrel. I'm almost being able to get a glimpse of what it is, but just not quite. Oh no, what's that? It just dropped it. It looked like a liver or a kidney or who knows, some kind of an organ, but the Walberg's eagle just discarded that. I wonder if it's not an African bullfrog. I've just got this feeling now that it could be a giant African bullfrog. It doesn't make sense because they don't typically move around too much during the day. They're more nocturnal, but they will move around if it's raining. Maybe I'll regret that choice, but I think there is going to be something that drops from this carcass that may have already dropped down and is going to help us piece together this puzzle of what this Walberg's eagle has killed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get out a little app on my phone and do some research as to what exactly the Walberg's eagles like to eat. Eagle Walbergs. Another bird of prey has just flown up and past us. I'm not too sure what this one is either. It could have been the partner of this Walberg's, but I didn't get a good enough glimpse at it. Okay, so let me get to feeding here in my little app. And foraging and food. Hunts from a perch, often at great height. So, 40% reptiles is part of the diet, 32% birds, 28% mammals. Lots of insects they feed on. Robs nests. Kills other birds of prey, including barn owls, goshawks. I mean, this is a very comprehensive list. Lizards, skinks, snakes, chameleons, frogs. And frogs, ooh, we could be lucky. It says here, mainly African bullfrog. So maybe it is a frog. Maybe I got lucky with that call. And if it is, there'll certainly be portions of that frog that it drops down. It is too. It is a frog. It's an African bullfrog. Can you believe it? I'm 99% certain I just saw a little webbed, flippery foot getting pulled up, and you'll find that it may have caught this frog from in and around this wallow. They're such cool frogs. I'm not sure if we've actually managed to show you any so far this season, but they've got incredibly pretty markings on them. Very camouflaged, kind of greeny, browny, kind of army camo skin color. Oh, there we can see it's a frog. There we go. No, I think it is on the African bullfrogs do have that straight line down their back. I just kind of went back on the species momentarily and thought maybe it's not the African bullfrog, maybe it's a toad of sorts, but I think I'm just panicking. It is the right size and shape to be the African bullfrog. Very big. I've actually fed on one before. Tastes like chicken. It was boiled in a chili water with chilies floating around in it. On a rainy morning, as I was walking through a tracker village here in the Sabi Sands, I got kindly offered some frog.
not really high up on your average menu here in South Africa, so at least not with my background. So that was an interesting change of events, eating my first frog. And isn't this awesome? That squirrel from quite a way off, together with VM's commands requesting us to respond to the alarm calls, has not led us to a leopard that we were hoping for, but it has led us to something so interesting and still a successful predator in the business of feeding on its kill. Hello to Rich King on YouTube, and you've pointed out that isn't the liver one of the most rich, nutrient-rich and sought-after delicacies within a carcass? And yes, it very often is, but I'm not too sure what that organ was that the eagle dropped. We can go down and have a look for it once it's finished its meal. I don't want to disturb it now, but we can go and have a look and try and work out what it was. It was just a guess, though, so not too sure what that was dropped out. But it is a good point. The organs are often fed on by predators. Very soft meat and often high in nutrients. Gerda on YouTube has now taken a bird kill to the next level, wanting to know what the king of raptors in this area, the martial eagle, or at least what kill have I seen the martial eagle make, and what has been the biggest kill. And sadly, only Franklin have been the kills that I've seen martial eagle not make. I've never seen one make a kill, but I have been close enough to kind of see enough of what's going on to work out that the martial eagle had caught a Franklin. Never been lucky enough to see a martial eagle with bigger prey. They can sometimes catch monitor lizards, very large lizards, as well as baby impalas, which is hard to believe. And it was just a couple of days back when VM and I were sitting out on drive, and VM spotted a martial eagle far in the distance soaring above us, and then I stopped to do something and took my eyes off it, and VM said it just plummeted straight out of the sky from very, very high up, and I wish I had have known where it was plummeting towards, because I would have raced there and seen if it had not have caught a baby impala. A huge feat for a bird of prey. Hello to Debayan Ganguly, and apologies if I didn't pronounce your name correctly, but it is wonderful to have you on Safari with us. Debayan would like to know, what national park are we in? And we are actually in a privately owned reserve that is open to the Greater Kruger National Park. And basically what's happened over the years, Debayan, is that what used to be fenced off, a private national park, has now been opened to private landowners with natural habitat like this. And what that has done is it's increased the size of the animal's wilderness area, and the larger their home, the more natural it becomes. And at the moment, it's bigger than Wales. It's 3 million hectares plus in size. Bigger than Israel as well, so it's a massive, massive place where animals roam free with humans. Oh, can you believe it? The fork-tailed drongos have arrived to spice up the meal. And the Walberg eagle's going to have to start eating quickly now, because it's about to be pestered by one of the smallest but one of the bravest of the birds that live out here, the fork-tailed drongo. Where's it gone? It's perched up there somewhere. It hasn't gone far away. It's uncharacteristic of a fork-tailed drongo to leave an opportunity where it can mob an eagle away. And you may have just seen a little blur of black swoop through and peck that Walberg's eagle on the back of the head. Ooh, we've got a grey-headed bushshrike, which has also landed in the tree. This is a very pretty bird. It's just below the fork-tailed drongo, VM, I think. The grey-headed bush. There it goes. Oh, and it went for it. Sadly, we missed it, but keep on the Walbergs now. It may well come in again. It's coming in. I'm going to talk you through it, VM, but you stay on the Walbergs, and everyone, I'll warn you, when this grey-headed bushshrike starts its next attack. That was awesome. I've never actually seen it. Oh, here it comes. Oh, no. It abandoned. It stopped at the last second. Thought it was a bad idea. But what's interesting is that I've never seen a grey-headed bushshrike. Here it comes. No, it just flew out of the back of the screen there. So you may well have seen it fly. Oh, no. So maybe it's not actually brave enough as the fork-tailed drongo to make contact and peck it on the head, or maybe it's simply waiting for the right opportunity. A good example of what the neighborhood watch system is like out here, if any predators are seen, predatory birds, predatory cats, the non-predatorial animals will all band together. Well, let me rephrase that. Predators of a different weight category, the grey-headed bushshrike that is flying around the scene, as well as the fork-tailed drongo, catch prey of their own, just insects though, that they forgive themselves for, but they do not forgive these predators who seek out larger prey, including the fork-tailed drongo itself. Well, happy that our Walberg's eagle is enjoying the more typically French cuisine here, frog's legs. But a lot of the birds that we get out here, not this specific one sadly, do migrate from many, many miles away in many different countries with far different feeding cultures to over here. So it's nice that they bring across some of those trends that they learn whilst away on holiday. Hello to Isabella in Ohio, just 4 years old, and isn't this interesting? Unlucky for the frog, but the bird must eat, and I think it will eat all of it, Isabella. I don't think it's going to have any leftovers that it's going to need to store. What it may do, if the fork-tailed drongo that you just saw flying through the screen continues to bother it, is that it may fly off with whatever remains. But that frog isn't a very big piece of dinner for the eagle, and I don't think it's going to have any problem finishing it off. I'm just interested to wait here to see if we can't pick up the skeleton that drops from the tree when it is in fact finished. It may take whatever leftovers it has with it, but I'm willing to wait if you guys are, because it'll be great to get you an up-close look of the carcass on the bullfrog. Now, what's interesting with this bird is that it has got two different color forms, and the one you're looking at now is a pale form, whereas more commonly they're a dark chocolate brown. And I've got the book out here. If we look at the bottom right, you'll see the pale form, which is in standing position over here, which looks like the one we're looking at now. Very slight crest on the head, and when flying, a very square tail. Most predatory birds will have a more fanned tail when flying, even these two here, but not always. So the Walberg's eagle can be a dark morph or a pale morph. Interestingly, the pair from this specific area are both pale. Sometimes you get one pale, one not so pale, or one regular, and sometimes you just get two regular dark morphs. So that's just something interesting about them, and nice just to give you a closer look. They're incredibly difficult animals to identify, the birds of prey, so we try as often as possible to give you a closer look in the book before taking you back to whatever is happening in real life, which is often just a little bit too far away to get good details. I wonder if it won't help if I shine my spotlight up there to give him a little bit of color. Let's do a bit of a test. Ever so slightly. Now I've concentrated the beam. And we may get you a little bit more color on it, slightly better. And it's having no effect on the bird, as you can see. Just a very slight glow. If this was the middle of the night, and it was pitch black, obviously shining a bright light in its face would have a huge effect on it, but during the day, no effect. Oh, that looks good. Tasty frog. Now I'm I'm feeling like there's going to be a lot of leftovers here. It's doing a great job feeding on all the meat, but leaving the skin and the bones behind, as far as I'm aware, from what I can tell from up here. And how much more will it try and feed on before it moves off? Oh, nearly slipped off the branch on the frog. Awesome. Oh, dropped a few little pieces there. Hello to Ellen and Heidi, and you guys would like to know how big this bird of prey is. It's probably about 1.5 feet in length and about 2 pounds in weight, so not very big. But the biggest predatory birds will be about 8 pounds in weight, so only 4 times larger than this. They don't get very heavy, even the biggest of avian predators, because their bones are obviously very light for flying, but they are incredibly powerful, so don't be fooled by their size. They have got very strong muscles, the birds of prey. And this one, what's kind of a regular bird that you could relate it to that a lot of people know of? I'm battling to come up with one that I know of in America, but like I say, about 1.5 feet in length, probably 1 foot of body and 1/2 of tail. So a medium-sized raptor, medium to small-sized raptor of this area. Beautiful call of the emerald spotted wood dove next to us. Doo, 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 doo. And the robotic of the fork-tailed drongo, who are very good at mimicking other birds and can make a host of different calls. The go-away bird. Now, what we can have a look at while we wait for this bird to finish its dinner is the leopard orchid in full flower, directly below the kill zone. And you'll notice a lot of bright yellow flowers popping up from this orchid. It's merely using the knobthorn tree as a platform and having very little or no negative impact on it. It's not relying on it for nutrients. It's got its own epiphytal root system, air root system, and it obtains all the nutrients it needs from the air and moisture, and possibly a little bit gathered off the bark that it's placed on, but no negative impacts. And the beautiful plants of this area, used a lot when making love potions and as an aphrodisiac amongst the local people. Now, Linda and a few others are asking about James, and I know James always... Oh, look at this. And off it goes. Just like that. So, not the loving partners that we thought they were. They don't share their meals. Terrible. They didn't say that on my new app, that the Walberg's eagle do not like to share with their partners that they spend their whole life with. And there goes our chance at getting the leftover frog head to look at. Now what? Anyway, some of you have been asking about James, and when he will be returning today. So you will see him on drive in all likelihood first thing tomorrow morning. He's enjoyed a weekend away and is on his way back, or was on his way back last thing I heard. So should be back at camp around the fire, and it'll be good to catch up with him again. Tibbs is also back, and he's one of the cameramen that some of you may not have met yet, some of you would have, so good to have him back in town. Kirsty and Eugene sadly left today though. They've headed off also for their breaks, and we're going to send you back to Brent as we try and get out of this little tricky area that we've got ourselves in.
So Tibbs and I are going on a bit of a hunch, heading down towards Red Dam and Arethusa. We've driven more than half of Djuma with no luck, so might as well try next along. Colder weather moving in, jerseys are on. Raptors coming off the ground. I think they looked at a quick glance. One's in the tree here. I'm going to try to sneak up on it. I don't think it was a Walberg. It looked too big. Oh, it's going to fly. Not a day, Tibbs. I'm just going to get a safety from here quickly. Very dark eagle there. Nope. There. We're trying to look at the head a little bit. Let's try and move around a bit. It's being bombed by a... it does look like a Walberg. I got excited for a second. I thought we might have found, from the darkness, the first possible steppe eagles. Oh, just the worst spot there. Get through there, Tibbs. It's going to be up here. There. So you can see that little crest, which is a very big indicator of a Walberg eagle. I know you've just been watching them with Scott, so we're not going to spend too much time on this one that's hidden in the middle of the bush. Yeah, so apparently you had the pale morph with Scott, and then we have a dark morph. In this area we can always bump into Shadow or Tingana. So, and also that butterfly we saw a little bit earlier, I've had a chance now to scour through my butterfly book. and it is not even in the book. So I'll have to send it off to a butterfly expert to ID for us. So, before we went across to Scotty, I was discussing a question from Kat about interfering or intervening with animals out here. And this is a general we don't. So, even if a leopard's got a broken leg, we'll leave it be. Now, I know this might be very harsh for some people to understand. That's my attitude as a game driver here. But this is nature, and if we weren't on game drive, no one would know the leopard had a broken leg, and hyenas might feed off the leopard or lions, so it's a very difficult thing, and we often try to put far too much human emotion into a lot of the animals we see, and we must remember that we might think they display those emotions, but they don't. They are wild animals, and often what we're seeing out here is nature at its most raw. As hard as it is to sort of sometimes understand that we can't interfere with those animals, we have to let nature take its course. We're here to observe, not to play God. In Port Orange, would like to have been in studies to measure the pain threshold of animals. Andre, it's one of those funny ones you probably find if you started studying the pain threshold of animals, you'd be locked up, or at least in quite a lot of trouble for inflicting pain on animals. It's one of those very difficult ones to sort of justify studying. So as far as I know, not that I know of on wild animals. So it looks like our hunch was incorrect this evening. So I'm going to head towards Impala Plains and see what's happening in that area. Shock of an electric blue through here, and not quite the same color as the woodlands. I think if I had to wager that it's carried on flying straight through. There was a grey-hooded kingfisher that kept flying. While we head towards Impala Plains, Tom, who's in Hawaii, would like to know why we don't have any gazelles out here. And they're not like the same sort of areas as Impala. Well, Tom, not really. They prefer more open grasslands, and some gazelles in a lot of places prefer much moister grasslands. Impala prefer a sort of mosaic of grass and woodland. We do have a gazelle species of type in southern Africa, and it's called the springbuck. That prefers sort of the more arid grasslands of the Kalahari and Karoo. Between springbok and East Africa, no other gazelles. And then you've obviously got Grants, Tommies. Further north, you've got some very specialized gazelles that live in the Sahara Desert. While we head to Impala Plains, Scotty's on a Walberg mission, and he's going to have a look at the Walberg eagle nest.
Now, as you look up into this tree, you'll notice a large dark clump in the center of your screen. That large dark clump is the home of the Walberg's eagles we have been watching, or at least mainly one watching feed on the frog that greedily flew away, leaving its partner nothing. Now, sadly, from here, that nest is not hugely interesting, or at least it isn't to me. We cannot see what is happening inside it. And there's no sign of them in this tree, but we have got lucky again, and we can see the greedy culprit on the other side of the road, sitting in a tree, finishing off its tasty frog. So confirmation that it is in fact, well, not confirmation, but in all likelihood, they are the owners of this nest we've just looked at. The proximity of them to it just makes perfect sense, along with the fact that they're both pale. And not wasting any of that frog. It didn't look like there was much meat left on that skinny carcass when it flew off, but oh, a fork-tailed drongo flew past there. You may have got a glimpse of it, continuing to terrorize the eagle. But from here we don't have the best view, and I think it's time to go and find something else. So, off we go. Just thought we'd come and give you an update to see what ended up happening to them. It's been quite some time since we've had a leopard on the property. I think it was, when was it? Although, no, not too long. It was yesterday morning, Brent had Karula. But no sign of where she's ended up since she was last seen. She was last seen probably about half a mile ahead of us, about to cross through a massive riverbed that flows parallel to this road. And she could basically be anywhere now. She could have moved quite a big distance from here from now if she hadn't been successful in hunting. Or had she have been successful in hunting, depending on what she had caught and how big it was, she could be in the same area for the next 5 days. So, not too sure where to begin looking. I just thought it would be useful for you guys to know that she was last seen in this area. Hello to Jeff Top, and sadly, they haven't been lying around for quite some time now, but lion do live here, and they occasionally come and visit us on Juma and Arathusa. Brian would like to know Jeff would like to know what is the coalition of male lions called that are currently dominant in this area. And Jeff, it is a coalition called the Birmingham Males. There are 5 males, they're about 5 years old, and they've just come into this area about 4 months ago and chased away the existing 2 males, which were much older, about 12 years old, the Matimba males. So that's who's around at the moment. Sadly, they're not spending too much time on our property, but they have in moments. There's some elephant dung and fresh urine down there that I just thought I'd show you. Looks very fresh. Still a lot of moisture around, so we could get lucky and maybe find an elephant. I can see some tracks on the road here. Just going to try and work out which way they're going. Not easy in this dull light. No, it looks like they are heading down the same way as we are. So let's hope we are not too far behind this elephant. Could be a bull. Looks like just one set of tracks heading down the road that I can see. No, there's more. There's more than one elephant, but very difficult to see on this substrate, so I'm not going to stop and try and show you. Hello to Pamela, who would like to know if I've ever seen an elephant stretching up on its hindquarters.
coming out. And I'm just going to start the question again. Pamela would like to know if I've ever seen elephant reaching up onto their back feet and then using their trunk to break off branches. And yes, I have. Seeking out the fruits of tamarind trees in Tanzania, where I spent some time in a beautiful reserve called the Katavi National Park. And they do it also quite a lot in the Mana Pool areas. I'm not sure what tree they're feeding on there in Zimbabwe. And they will also do it from time to time here. So they will certainly do that. Not necessarily holding themselves up vertically, so let me not paint the wrong picture here. Here's a big old buffalo bull. And it's more of a leaning back on their back legs and being on their kind of front tippy toes. They'll sometimes let their front feet leave the earth momentarily, but it's not for long periods of time. It's not like they're walking around. Look at that as he moves his hooves, kicking up the sand. That was awesome. Hello, old boy. So there we go, Pamela. It is possible, but I don't see it very often here in the Sabi Sands, and it's more often in areas with specific trees. Where are all your friends, Mr. Buffalo? What would be wonderful is if he came up to us here and decided to take a wallow. There's a big mud wallow just off to our left here. It's not the right time of the day. Doesn't really make sense. It's also quite cool. But these boys really do love to wallow in the mud. But usually in the heat of the day. There's a few more wallows up ahead that are also frequently used by the Cape of Buffalo. And this one may be heading to those ones further up there, or possibly just going in search of some more food elsewhere. Okay, very good. Well, off he goes into the thickets, and we're going to continue on our adventure without you, sadly, and you'll be going across to Brent for quick updates.
So you had that incredible hyena sighting in Scott this morning, and I'm working on a hunch. Quite often when hyenas get wounded, they like to lie in the mud, and quite a lot of the mud wallows and whatnot have dried up, even though we had a little bit of rain yesterday. But there's one, I think, that might still have water, and it's quite close to the area where all this hyena activity was going on this morning. And we saw a whole bunch of hyenas on a really hot day resting in it. So I'm going to go check at the Hyena Beach. Someone named it the other day. It's possible the Ellies could have emptied it out like these other wallows we're driving along. I think maybe the reason a lot of wounded hyenas do that is because it sort of soothes the cool mud. The mud quite often keeps the flies out. So you can see this little water hole around here, and it's one of the only ones that's still got water. And it looks like something's been lying in that far little edge there. More than likely a warthog. You can see there. But I just thought I'd have a quick look here in case those hyena, or that wounded hyena might still be here. And Laura, hi Laura, Laura Croft's wondering why. She still doesn't understand why all these hyena are fighting. From what I've heard from Scotty, who was there this morning, it seems like there was probably a bit of a battle for hierarchy within the clan, and that is not unusual. That's completely normal. very strong matriarchal society and a very violent matriarchal society. So hyena clans are ruled by violence and instilling fear in others. And it's very difficult to say without actually having been there what that hyena did to deserve such a beating. And sometimes she might not have done anything that bad. It could just be that one of the higher ranking females might be getting a bit old, might be starting to worry slightly that her position in the clan is being compromised, and that could cause that incredible bout of violence, sort of to try to keep status quo. And quite often you'll find it's the weaker individuals in the clan that take the brunt of those. So there could even be that she's feeling pressure from a higher ranking animal, but then to beat the absolute snot out of a lower ranking one sort of still affirms it's not as big a risk as taking on a high ranking one, but it still shows the other hyenas that she's still very strong and still very powerful. But as I said, without actually being there, what sparked that initial aggression, it's almost impossible to say. We can just speculate till the cows come home. So Scotty has found another bird on a nest. Let's go have a look.
I don't think I've been able to show you an emerald spotted wood dove this close before, let alone on a nest. How cool is this? It is so close to the road and just above eye level with VM on camera. And this is a wonderful, wonderful thing because we've been wanting to find a bird's nest that we can follow in the hope that we'll get to see some young birds of any description fly away one day after seeing them hatch from eggs. Now, I'm not too sure whether she's currently incubating eggs or currently keeping a few tiny chicks warm. We'll have to keep coming back and checking here. Ooh, what did I see move there? Was it just one of her feathers?
There's something underneath her.
Uh-oh.
Sticking out.
Liam can see something underneath. Something seems to be moving. I'm not sure if any of you saw that. I certainly did. I can't work out exactly what is going on here. And even though there could well be a tiny little chick under there, it doesn't look like she's budging at the moment. So it could even be a male that's incubating. I don't know enough about these little doves. Well, not only incubating, but keeping the young warm. Awesome. The good thing is that it's in a nice low spot. So even if we come back here and the mother's not in the nest and we may not have the perfect view, I'll be able to use my little extendable camera with a long arm that can look down into that nest. And it's going to be an easy spot for all of you to show the other guides where it is when you're on drive with them. We're about to cross through the Mulwati riverbed. So if you ever hear of any of the guides driving through this area, here's the riverbed right in front of us. To our right is Batalua Road. Up ahead is Vulture's Nest, and then Inala Road south, which kind of forks up that way. So we are approaching the Mulwati from the western side over here. And awesome stuff, the emerald spotted wood dove on a nest. Good news, we did quite well finding a lot of nests early on. I've got no idea the quality of the sighting of the nest that you had with Brent was and the position of that nest, but happy that this one's around, and I'll definitely be chatting to Brent later to work out what that was. What did you get there? Ah! And James Taylor, yes, it is indeed a emerald spotted wood dove, the bird that we heard calling while the Walberg's eagle was eating its froggy dinner. And it looks like VM has spotted the elephants whose tracks we saw a little bit earlier.
Good stuff. Oh, don't go across the riverbed. I think we might need to recalculate here and head back and get onto Vulture's Nest Road. But let's get a glimpse of the herd and see what they're up to. These are obviously the perpetrators who left that fresh dung in the road we just saw a few moments ago. We're not going to get any good views from here, and I feel we're going to put too much pressure on them, so let's try and sneak out of the riverbed. Hold on. Whoop. And rather loop ahead of them and wait for them to come to us. It's generally far better practice with elephants than barging in on their private space. Let's just stop here though, because I think it is going to be a good spot to wait for now and get a few temporary views on them. Strange how there can be deathly silence with such large animals around, and so many animals around, but just for a moment, everything has gone still. Except for the black-headed oriole calling in the distance. Okay, let's try and get ahead of them. They do seem to now be slowly on the move towards us, or towards where we are going to be positioned. Sadly, the wild dogs got up and active, but heading in a west and northerly direction, north and westerly direction. So, at this stage, not looking promising. I'll just turn the radio volume up again now, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. They could change direction at any stage, and that would help us. They came closer by, but for now, sadly, prospects of the wild dogs popping in are not looking promising. The prospects of these elephants coming into a decent spot anytime shortly are also not very promising. It's interesting how they can sometimes feed quite quickly through the bush and other times feed a lot more slowly. But whenever they are moving, they are feeding. It's just varying degrees of speed of movements as opposed to speed of consumption. For now, though, they are on the go slow, and it's in a very thick and tricky area. But an important thing to remember whilst being on safari is patience. And now you can start to at least work out that we do have an elephant in the vicinity. Hello to Jeff Top and
interested to know where you may have got your elephant experience from in the past, but thank you for your concern, telling me not to go too close to them. Because I think you said they may feel restrained if I do. I'm not sure if I heard that correctly, but I don't know how much they would feel restrained by us getting close to them. They may feel intruded on, but not restrained in any way. And that is exactly why what we have done is not intruded on their space very greatly. We've kept a very safe distance and are waiting for them to feed to us. And I've had elephants come very, very close to me before and never had any harmful results. And the way that we're going about achieving that is by allowing them to decide how close they would like to get to us. And if they're happy to come close, then I'm happy for them to come close as well. So don't worry, Jeff, but thank you for your concern. Apologies for the elephants that have treated you badly in your history with them. Trying to squeeze into a little gap here, and then I'm going to be chatting with Evan, a college student from Chicago. Evan, I'm just trying to get you into a decent spot here, but it's proving difficult. Let's just wait here and see what happens. And Evan, I hope your college degree is coming along well and you're enjoying yourself. You'll be happy to know that any degree, any college degree will put you in good stead to become a field guide. And it's not very difficult at all. Basically, you don't even need a college degree, and as long as you have a high school pass, you will be able to come out and do a 6-month or 1-year course to become a field guide. It's not very difficult. That's why I thankfully managed to be able to do it. If it was incredibly difficult, I wouldn't be here. So that's first and foremost, Evan. And any degree that you have, be it a degree in accounting that you studied at college, on sport, on the stars, on the seas, on anything, any degree will prove to any assessor that you have the capability of learning and the capability of problem solving, and that will be enough to get you into just about any guiding course. And then it's up to you how well you do and how far you go as a field guide. A 6-month to 1-year course will only give you the very basics. You are not going to be a professional, but you are going to be allowed to work as a professional. And then over the years, you will gain more and more knowledge and decide how well you will become in terms of a field guide, or how good you will become. So definitely possible, Evan. And even if it isn't something that you want to do for the rest of your life, the fact that it is quite easy to do means that you could take off a couple of years, do a 6-month or a 1-year course. Finally, there you are. And then come and work in Africa for a couple of years before heading back to settle down and do something a little bit more serious. So there's many different ways of doing it, but what is most important to remember, that it doesn't matter where you are from, how tall you are, what color your skin is, or whether you're a boy or a girl, anyone can come out here and do this job. Now, is this young calf going to give us a bit of attitude? It looks like it was thinking about it there. And Zimbo in London is asking about some elephant body language that he's heard various, or she's heard various reports on why elephants will do it. And the question is, why do elephants sometimes hold their foot up off the ground? And is it possibly to listen to vibrations? Usually, Zimbo, if elephants are picking up infrasonic vibrations which travel through the Earth's crust, they will put all of of their feet onto the ground and even their trunk and stop moving. And I've noticed whole herds that are busy moving and feeding simultaneously stop. It's like the phone started ringing, they've all heard, but now they've all had to stop to be able to listen to this message that comes through. And each and every single elephant in that herd stopped and actually even put its trunk down to possibly help receive these vibrations. So I don't think elephants hold up their feet to help pick up any audio or any communication from other elephants many miles away. That wouldn't make sense to me. Usually for me, when I've seen elephants holding one foot up is when they're holding their head up high, trying to make themselves look as big and threatening as possible, indicating to you that you should probably give them some space. So that's the only time that I can really think of that I've seen an elephant lifting up a front foot. It would be kind of secondary results of lifting its head up. But no, I'm not too sure exactly what that myth about the elephant lifting up its foot is. I haven't heard anything. It'll be very interesting to hear if Brent has heard anything on that topic, but I sadly don't have much to give you, Zimbo, other than the fact that it's probably something that doesn't make very much sense, but that has been spread through many different people's ears over the ages, and those kind of old wives' tales are not uncommon, especially in the safari industry. Good stuff. We're going to head you across to Brent and Wildebeest.
We have wildebeest babies engaged in many games of cat and mouse. It looks like there's been a few more births. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 babies now. But the impala and the babies seem to be playing. There we go. Babies chasing impala, and sometimes the impala chase the babies. So cute. Look at this. Oh, little jump. Oh, look at the bellies go. So just a bit of gamemanship from both. So it's not unusual to see babies play like this and with other animals as well to set it off. Baby wildebeest in particular are incredibly playful. Oh, there we go. It's good practice for them, avoiding things, I'm sure. This poor impala's got 3 baby wildies to deal with. So I'm sure the impala are playing as well. They're not taking it seriously, you can see that. Look at that little, there you go. Speed coming right up to us. Safeting off the impala. You guys are going to hear a bit of a beep. I'm just turning on our virtual reality. Oh, we're getting attacked. Oh no, it's a sudden change. Oh no, we're still there. Having a good look at us before taking off. Isn't that incredible? Now, early morning, late afternoon. Oh, the wildies have actually now moved from the impala. They're coming towards us. And back towards the impala. Now the adults, or the sub-adults are joining in. And when you see wildebeest playing like this is quite often while they called the clowns of the bushveld. I'm just going to sneak a little bit closer. Oh, wait till we finish being charged. So let's get ourselves in amongst the wildies. Big game going on here. You can see that one's a little bit younger. The slightly darker one. There we go. He's prancing now. A day or two old at the most, that one. You can just see it stays a little bit closer to mom. They are very cute little things. So here we got 2, 4. Oh, there we go. There's the youngest one. Look at this. He's doing a break dance. Oh, another break dance. You almost don't know where to look. So the wildies will probably settle and rest up here on the open area for tonight. It gives them a little bit. Oh, look at the wrestle. Big wrestle going on there between the two little ones. Don't even have horns yet and they're head-butting each other. Oh, it's a three-way boxing match now. Gotta be pretty sure those are two little boys. Difficult to tell now, but oh, look at that little one in the background, more going. And you notice there the adults on its knees. Oh, there's adults now getting in on the game. So it's with them all moving all the time, it is quite difficult to see how many babies. But I think at least 7 that I've counted so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There could be a few more still off to the left behind some bushes. There we go. And you'll notice the wildies like to mark with their pre-orbital glands, and they quite often get on their knees to do that. And also, there we go, rub their heads in the bush or on the ground, have a good roll. So you can even see that behavior being emulated in the babies. There you go. Doing the pre-orbital glands. They put their heads flat like that. And you often find some very strange looking tracks out in the bush, and they're often made by wildebeest playing in the dirt like this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Definitely 7 babies, but possibly an 8. So there's been a few more born since I last saw this herd. They're a very strange looking creature, and coupled with their strange behavior, they're often referred to as the clowns of the bushveld. And if you get them in the right mood when they're playing, they are hysterical. Oh, watch for the sneak attack. Go to the left a bit. Watch, you might give him a horn in the bum. So, Susan's saying maybe it's because it's not too hot and they're feeling nice and fresh. It's a strong possibility, Susan. I have seen them do this during the hot weather as well, but at the cool of the evening or the cool of the early morning. It's amazing how relaxed the babies are getting with us now. There they go. A lovely comment from Gracie. Gracie says she'd love to go and play with the baby beasts, and I'm sure they'd love to play with you too, Gracie. Full of joy, these little guys. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 5, 6, 7. It could be 8. I can't see behind the bush there, but they're definitely 7 babies. Yeah, there's lovely little meh. So this is a great place for wildebeest to bed down. First it'll be one of their, oh, incoming. I love it. They run almost up to the vehicle and then last minute decide to change their mind. Meh. Sorry about all the beeps. I was just turning off the ball of GoPros. Charlie says... Sorry, Charlie. This guy's keep you much entertained. Charlie's wondering if the adults ever play like this, and if they do they let their guard down? They do, Charlie. It does happen from time to time. What are you doing? I doubt it. This little wilde's preorbital glands are developed enough for scent marking yet, but still the instinct to do it is there. Here comes one of last year's babies. And you can see most of the little ones have had enough gaming. That bout of madness is now, they're coiled into little balls. So, Jess, wolves would like to know, are any other female wildebeest still pregnant? I'm having a look now. Yes, maybe her far left. A little bit further left. There we go, she's still pregnant. She's the only one I can see. Okay, let's have a look. The bullies have gone to sleep. So we've got 4 here, 3 here, and we're finally going to be able to see behind the bush and see if there's number 8. Nope. So we got 7 babies. Bye-bye, little news. Enjoy your evening. Watch out for lions and leopards. So, Brian Porter would like to know, isn't it dangerous for them to lie down because of predators? Well, Brian, it is, but they do need to rest and ruminate. So they generally choose open areas like that one we've just been on. It gives them a better field of view and makes it much harder for an animal like a lion to stalk up upon them. We quite often find them on the clearings very close to camp. So quite often you'll see 2 or 3 different species together. And Tammy Anderson on Twitter is wondering, do they like each other's company? Is it for safety? There's a couple of different reasons. Safety in numbers is one of them. Most of the time it is safety. More eyes and more animals, less chance you're the one who's going to be snacked. And with certain species, there's even more in-depth reasons. So wildebeest and zebra quite often spend quite a bit of time together due to the fact of the way they feed. So zebra is a bulk grazer. It's not very picky, but what they do is they keep the grass very short. Wildebeest is a much more picky grazer and will actually eat between different things. And after a herd of zebra have been through an area, it makes it much easier for the wildebeest to pick its chosen grass species. So that's why you often see wildebeest and zebra together. Of course, it's not all the time set rule, but you do find them together quite often. Those tiny little wildies are already knocking horns, or knocking heads rather than horns. And Dee in Connecticut would like to know, when do the horns start protruding? We'll start be able to see some little bumps and whatnot in a couple of weeks. It's very, very quick. And also, like most prey species or antelope, they wean very quickly as well. So though they're very they're reliant on mother's milk for a very short time in the beginning, they will start grazing within a couple of weeks. Fully grazing, only grazing, should I say. So those tiny little baby wildebeest will only really go completely dark like the adults, probably after 6-7 months old. And Joyce in New Hampshire was wondering that. Good question, Joyce. Actually, maybe let's just take another guess. Check one of the other hyena dens that we haven't checked for a while. So while we were offline, we checked the Philemon's Cutline hyena den while we weren't live, and there was nothing there. So I'm going to check the Rebecca Zoe's den next. just in case. You never know. There was a stage where we had multiple dens active, so we could have it again. So Scotty's gonna go have another look around Philemon's dip, so let's go see what he's up to, and we're gonna go check around Zoe's Rebecca's.
Happy to hear you had a wonderful sighting of the babies that are frolicking around the reserve at the moment. Sounded like some epic stuff. As Brent tells you, we are about to stop in and check the Philemon's Cutline hyena den, which is just up ahead of us. So let's see what happens. This is the den site of at least two sets of mothers, one with a pair of cubs and another with a single cub. I've never actually been here when it has been active with this new setup, new numbers. I've been here in the past, but different cubs were being raised by different adults probably, or possibly the same adults, just at different stages. It's in all likelihood the same clan members that operate on Juma, but various den sites are used. And clan den sites will be moved every month and a half to 2 months. But natal den sites, which are used by females that are predominantly moving away simply to give birth in a safe place away from other danger from the clan. And there is a lot of hierarchy and struggles between clan members for hierarchy, so that's, I'm guessing, is what's happening at the den site that we're at earlier this afternoon. Whereas this, I'm guessing, because it's housing more individuals, is probably the communal den, where the higher ranking females will feel confident in their ability to give birth and successfully raise cubs with the rest of the clan around. But it looks like nobody's home, so we'll just keep moving around just to make sure there's a few little kind of nooks and crannies where a hyena could be lying up or sleeping nearby. But no evidence at the onset that anything is happening here. On our right, you'll see two little holes, 1, 2. Those are used to keep the cubs safe. And that's often where the adults will lie up, especially with small cubs. Just had a leopard being called in up a tree. Wouldn't it be nice to go there? Sadly, we cannot, but somebody's enjoying that sighting on a neighboring property. And even better now, the radio messages come through saying that the wild dog are below the tree, and that'll explain why the leopards run up it. And those things can happen. Sadly, it's just not happening where we are right now. And it seems like we're just not having any luck this afternoon. Brent's just got to the den site, the other den site that he wanted to check, which was the initial den site where I first saw hyenas and their cubs whilst working for SafariLIVE, not the first time in my life. And it was where the mother that was attacked today raised her young cub, who some of you call Bella. So nothing's happening there either. And no luck piecing together the puzzle as to who's who and what's what just yet. Jan in Los Angeles, and interested to know if the mother of the twins has been spotted today. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure who the mother of the twins is. I I haven't spent much time at this den site, sadly. Also an update on the female that was injured. We last left her this morning, and that was with all of you guys live on air. That was the last we saw of her. Went back first thing this afternoon, sign of her there. So sadly, no answers really for you, Jan, in New York. Chased, and it continues to be chased off into the distance. I'm not sure what kind of owl it was. It was a large owl, though. We don't get to see them very often. I'm not sure where they're hiding out at the moment, but it was a stage kind of towards the end of winter where we were seeing them a lot in the evenings, perched out in the dead trees. Not in darkness like this time of the evening, but they're a few and far between now. To Caroline in Chicago, and thanks for sending your question through. You would like to know if a hyena will break out of its initial natal clan to go and start a clan of its own, and possibly that can happen, or they can just stay within their clan and try and overthrow a current queen, which is, I think, what happened in the battle last night or the early hours of this morning, and that is what I think went down. That younger or less dominant female, not born into the right genes, has tried to eventually now claim right to the throne. Go ahead, Brent. I am on the western side of quarantine. Brent is asking me what my plans were. I have got no plans. I'm at a lack of plans. And we are therefore just driving around, not aimlessly, but not with any major intent or purpose or reason why I'm driving it, just the gut feel. To Lois in Buffalo, and you are surprised that the hyena from December last year, that little black cub that you saw then when I first arrived, was the same sub-adult hyena that followed after its limping mother, and that's thanks to BJ Lapai, and they sent through a photograph, and they've been following that hyena very closely and often been seeing it and noticing it without us even knowing who it was. So thank you very much, BJ. And yeah, it looks like the screenshots that BJ sent through are quite conclusive, in that the tiny little cub that we used to see that was actually named by Tara Piri while I was away in February. I took the month of February off. And obviously it was in that month that she named it Bella. And it looks fairly convincing by BJ's pictures that this hyena we saw this morning is the same one that was seen and named by Tara as Bella back then. So, hard to believe, but probably true. Come on, animals. Where are you hiding? Maybe a snake in a tree would be a nice way to finish off. And while I try and rustle one of those up, we are going to send you over to Brent. And I'm not sure what he's planning to find for you, but you're about to find out. Enjoy it.
So I hear Scotty's off after a slithering snake. I'm going to go for a nice reptile. I'm going to try to find a chameleon. As we get to this, I think I have an ace up my sleeve, but we'll see shortly. They're both nearby each other, but I think I've got an idea where a chameleon might be hiding. It will take you on a road you don't normally travel on. See if we can find a chameleon. So, for me, it's quite cold at the moment, and Chantal in Richford is wondering what is the temperature at the moment. And Chantal, it's 23 degrees Celsius. And I'll try to work out the Fahrenheit for you quickly. While we try to find a chameleon. Amazing, these things these days. I even have an app that does it for me, so I don't have to look like an idiot all the time when I try to do it in my head. It is 73.4 Fahrenheit. So there we go. Now I just need to find an app that does feet and inches and meters, because that's the one that really gets me. Okay, so there is the turn off to one of our camps. And we don't normally go live down this road, but today we do, in search of a chameleon. And I'm hoping this chameleon, which we see quite often at the entrance to our camp, is there this evening. It sits in the buffalo fawn at the entrance gate. And it's quite a big one as well. I haven't seen any baby chameleons yet. It's fascinating. They can be so tiny. This is good chameleon country around here. So there's the elephant fence. Keeps the elephants out of our gardens. This is behind the scenes in search of a chameleon. That's where all the cars park, and there's the wall behind. And that chameleon is often in these branches just above me here. Where are you hiding, chameleon? And of course, the day that I really wanted to be there, I mean, we see it probably like every night that we drive past, except for when I come here and have another look. Murphy's Law. So almost every night after we finish drive, we drive past down here, and the chameleon is sitting right there, but tonight he's not. Murphy's Law. Maybe he just hops trees. Let's check around. And over here is the workshop, just to the left of us. And looks like I failed with that particular chameleon, so I'm going to try and find another one. We do see them quite often. They're all around. and thwarting my efforts. Oh. No. 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 I'm now literally checking every bush. Maybe we'll have to settle for something else. I haven't given up on chameleons yet. The worst will be if I go there in 10 minutes or when I go home tonight after dinner and it's there. AJ says it's 20 Fahrenheit. Stand by, AJ. I need to know what that is in Celsius. And so 20 Fahrenheit. Minus 6 degrees Celsius. My goodness, AJ, you must be a popsicle. He says there's a couple of inches of snow as well, and he'd love to trade places with me. AJ, I definitely wouldn't trade places with you. I find 70 Fahrenheit plenty cold enough. Actually, a little bit too cold. I'd prefer it to be around around 80 Fahrenheit is really ideal temperature, for me at least. I much prefer being warm than cold. So it has been a relatively quiet in terms of big animals, or especially for Tebs and I, who I think count our highlight as an unidentified butterfly. But it's, oh, actually I lied, the baby wildebeest were amazing, running around being full of joy. But thanks very much for joining us on the Sunset Safari, and don't forget to join us bright and early. Oh, sneaky, Mr. Dyson. We spotted it at the same time. But anyway, we're going to say goodbye. So from Tebs and myself, we'll see you on the Sunrise Safari. Let's go to Scotty so he can say goodbye.
Well, Brent was taking so long to say goodbye to you. We've had to reposition to re-find the elephant that he has now just found before us, technically. Only kidding. And this guy's just walked past one of our houses, and they can be fairly troublesome and come into the gardens that have got these kind of buffets of untapped into resources. But thankfully this time they didn't come and rip out our garden. It's all natural vegetation, but it simply doesn't get fed on. And every now and then elephant bulls like this will come in and make your lives a bit difficult. Woodlands kingfisher calling nearby. It's a dead still evening. It's a beautiful evening, nice and cool. And it's been great to have you on safari again, as always. And I'm just going to stop and keep quiet for the next minute, and we can just listen and enjoy. Actually, let me reposition the vehicle before we do that, so at least we can see the elephants. Cancel that. The minutes of silence will be for the final minutes of the show. But thank you very much again. Well done to Brent, and also thanks to the girls in Final Control, Nikki and Kirsty. Nikki and Louise. I keep calling Louise Kirsty. Apologies, Lou. I think my brain's capacity is done for the year, and I need to go and switch it off somewhere and relax before next year starts. But that is happening soon. Next week I'll be off. Okay, well, thanks again, and you will probably be joining Jamie and James on Drive tomorrow, but for the last minute of this safari, we're just going to let you enjoy the serenity and the silence of the evening.